Hello friends, welcome to the second lecture on financial management. In the previous lecture, we have seen the meaning and importance of finance function. In this lecture, we will study the nature and scope of finance function. Let us now study the nature of finance function. Finance function is the process of acquiring and utilizing funds of a business. Finance functions are related to the overall management of an organization. Finance function is concerned with the policy decisions of a business such as size of firm, type of equipment used, use of debt, liquidity position, etc. These policy decisions determine the size of the profitability and riskiness of the business or the firm. So then what is the nature of finance function? In most of the organizations, financial operations are centralized. This results in economies. Secondly, finance functions are performed in all business firms irrespective of their sizes or legal forms. They contribute to the survival and growth of the firm. Finance function is primarily involved with the data analysis for use in decision making. Finance functions are concerned with the basic business activities of a firm in addition to external environmental factors which affect basic business activities, namely production and marketing. Finance functions comprise of control functions also. The central focus of finance function is valuation of the firm. So we can imagine the significance of finance function from its nature. Now let us see the scope of finance functions. The scope of finance function is very wide. While accounting is concerned with the routine type of work, finance function is concerned with financial planning, policy formulation and control. The financial organization depends upon the nature of the organization, whether it is a proprietary organization, a partnership firm or corporate body. The significance of the finance function depends on the nature and size of a business firm. The role of various finance officers must be clearly defined to avoid conflicts and the overlapping of responsibilities. The operational functions of finance include financial planning, deciding the capital structure, selection of source of finance, selection of pattern of investment. So, what is financial planning? The first task of a financial manager is to estimate short-term and long-term financial requirements of his business. For this purpose, he will prepare a financial plan for present as well as for future. The amount required for purchasing fixed assets as well as needs of funds for working capital will have to be ascertained. These estimations should be based on sound financial principles so that neither there are inadequate nor excess funds with a concern. The inadequacy of funds will adversely affect the day-to-day operations of the concern, whereas excess funds may tempt a management to indulge in extravagant spending or speculative activities. The second function which comes under the scope of finance function is deciding the capital structure. The capital structure refers to the kind and proportion of different securities for raising funds. After deciding about the quantum of funds required, it should be decided which type of securities should be raised. It may be wise to finance fixed assets through long-term debts. If gestation period of a project is longer, then share capital may be most suitable. Long-term funds should also be employed to finance working capital. If not wholly, then partially. Entirely depending upon overdrafts and cash credits for meeting working capital needs may not be suitable. A decision about various sources of funds should be linked to the cost of raising funds. If cost of raising funds is very high, then such sources may not be useful for long. The third function is selection of source of finance. After preparing a capital structure, an appropriate source of finance is selected. Various sources from which finance may be raised include share capital, debentures, financial institutions, commercial banks, public deposits, etc. If finances are needed for short periods, then banks, public deposits, and financial institutions may be appropriate. On the other hand, if long-term finances are required, then share capital and debentures may be useful. If the concern does not want to tie down its assets as securities, then public deposits may be a suitable source. If management does not want to dilute ownership, then debentures should be issued in preference to shares. And the fourth function under the scope of finance function is selection of pattern of investment. When funds have been procured, then a decision about investment pattern is to be taken. The selection of an investment pattern is related to the use of funds. A decision will have to be taken as to which assets are to be purchased. The funds will have to be spent first on fixed assets, and then an appropriate portion will be retained for working capital. The decision-making techniques such as capital budgeting, opportunity cost analysis may be applied in making decisions about capital expenditures. While spending on various assets, the principles of safety, profitability, and liquidity should not be ignored. A balance should be struck even in these principles. We have seen the nature and scope of finance functions in this lecture. In the next lecture, we will throw light on the meaning, scope, and objectives of financial management. Until then, stay tuned and take care. Bye-bye.